Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Art Whisperer 88. Today I'm going to do an interesting experiment with these pastel colors that were so generously donated to me by a very kind viewer. She didn't have too much use for them anymore, so she asked me if I would like to have them. And I said, sure, why not? So, in a previous video, I tried to incorporate that into my work, but it didn't work so well. But now I'm going to do a take two and sketch out a plan. As usual, I'm going to do some circles here. So this is the basic framework of this piece. Here, let me do a longer here. Okay. Now, so you can see the detail, I'm going to do this. Okay. And you won't see as much of the mess on the left side of the screen. Sorry about that. So I'm going to start filling in some of these spaces. In fact, maybe there are not enough spaces. I'm going to add some more. Make it really complex. Okay. So this reminds me of a coloring book when I was a kid. I loved coloring books. And that's how I learned how to paint within the lines. And now that I'm an old man, I allow myself to paint outside the lines. I'm going to start with the warmer colors. What I find fascinating about this pastel is when it transfers to the gel plate, it's very intense. You can't tell that it is second hand or second generation. I'm choosing all the broken pieces first. trying to vary my strokes for some variety. Now for some Naples yellow. It's very interesting that there is no standard in color manufacturing. They have the same names like Naples yellow, but different companies will have different kinds of Naples yellow. So you cannot really go by the name. You have to rely on a color sample to be accurate. Okay, I'm gonna try this dark blue. I'm doing it in a very carefree fashion. See what we have on the second layer. I have here some earth colors. I'm gonna try to do it like this. Oops. I don't know what the name of this color is, but it's very beautiful color. Kind of like a mossy yellow green. Here's a long shot. So I'm going to start with this as the basic first layer. And before I did this exercise, I cleaned the plate and I oiled it to make sure that whatever I draw with the pastel is going to transfer. Let me just shake off this excess dust here. Okay, so here's where the magic comes into play. I'm just applying a very firm, even pressure with my hand. Okay, and let's see how this worked out. Pretty cool, I think. Check this out. Okay. So now what I can do is create some scaffolding, do the black lines. Now I can do that either with a Posca pen or with some black, Mars black acrylic. I'm going to use a Mars black acrylic. Just adding a little water to make it loose. I'm just going to fill in this bottom part with some improvised It has sort of a stained glass effect. So I'm going to allow this to dry, and then I will apply a second layer of paint, probably a light color like titanium white or metallic pearl. I'll see what is available. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I think most of it has been dried by the desk fan. I'm going to use unbleached titanium as opposed to titanium white, which I find very stark. This is a little bit warmer. So here goes. Now there may be little spots where the black is still wet, but that's okay. It's not supposed to be perfect. In fact, it's the imperfections that make it interesting. again, I'm using my Blick watercolor paper. Now, I really have no idea how the outcome of this will be. This is really an experiment. Now, if it fails, I'll just have to start all over again. That's the only way to learn. Okay, I'm going to leave this for 5 minutes and keep my fingers crossed. Okay, this is the exciting part. Very cool. I think this was a successful transfer, don't you think? Now there are some bald spots, but that's okay. It gives a little more texture. And I'm glad I used black acrylic instead of a Posca marker because I like the brushwork. I like the effect of the brush. So here's a close-up. I think it's a pretty cool effect. I never would have imagined that pastel would create such a strong imprint, because I always associate pastel with very light, powdery images, kind of like the Impressionists, where they use very, like pale blues and pale pinks. This is pretty intense, so I'm pretty happy with this experiment. Now I'm going to see if this needs anything else. If it needs even another layer, I don't know. But I will look at this and decide. So I'll be right back. I'm going to see what happens when I add Okay, let's see what we got here. It's a good transfer, but it's a little muddy. It's a very interesting image. It still has a lot of saturation from the pastel. I'm really surprised. It's very painterly, in fact. Wow, pretty cool. It has the quality of a lithograph because the background textures are very subtle. So I'm going to air dry both of these and then recap, see what else I can do. Be right back. Okay, everyone. Both prints have dried by now. I like this paper because when it dries, it's nice and flat. Here's a close-up of the first print. My experiment with pastels, which really surprises me. How intense the color is. So that is my first print. And here is the ghost print. It's a totally different character. I do like the background texture. It's very subtle. And as you can see, the leftover pigment from the pastel is still pretty strong for a second pull. In fact, it might be a challenge to clean the plate because the pigments are very intense. It's a very painterly effect. So I will put these two side by side so you can see. So I hope you liked this video. It was an interesting experiment, and I think it's quite effective. It's something that I would never have imagined, and now that I've tried it, I know what the result is going to be. Thank you so much for watching, and please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And for those who can, please lend some support to my PayPal to keep this channel going. Thank you again, and I hope to see you next time.